Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. We got a bonus episode this week. I was determined. I am so grateful. I am back up and running. My phone does not need to be connected to my laptop for sure. And at the same time, I learned something in that process. I learned a few things that I could download my own thumbnail rather than after my live shows when I want to go in and take the lesson for myself that I spend a lot of time in picking out a frame in the video that I could actually use as a thumbnail. And then, because I have been trying lately to really make sure that the thumbnails are done. Sometimes in that lack of confidence in the message that I'm trying to bring across, that I don't know. I think maybe sometimes the content is not good enough, that the lesson is not strong enough. And so in the moment, I don't put a proper thumbnail up. I always say, oh, I'll do it in the morning. And then I go in and watch my live. And by the time I watch my live, because I do my lives, my podcast so late in the evening, that I don't bother doing it. And then the next day, I'm already into the next day. And yesterday is not usually a part of today. So we're going to make it a habit. It's going to make it actually quite easy for me. And at the same time, I can take that photo before I do my live show. And then, I'm probably saving 15 minutes. It usually takes me about 15 minutes to get the right frame. And then usually it's not even the right frame. It's in that frustration that I go, good enough. You guys, da 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 da. What's my good cheer? If you've never popped into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. Saturdays, I usually keep Saturdays for myself. Quite often, I do want to come in and do my live show on Saturdays, but I force myself to actually take a day off. And I'm usually not on my phone very much. Sometimes, in that taking a day off, it's not necessarily a day off because I am deep in. I'm doing a lot of hard pressing in content that I believe is going to move me forward. But this week, let me turn my light on. This week, uh, I don't know. The content is so heavy, it's so deep. I also recognize that whatever I'm moving into, it's going to be important. It's going to make a difference. And I think just not for bringing content to my brand, but I think important for my own sense of understanding, right? A lot of what I do is hit and miss. Like not being able to figure out my video cameras and figuring out what I had gotten wrong. And it took me a couple of days, right? Yesterday, I thought I had it sorted. I wasn't even close. Today, I spent a little bit of time on it. And I thought, maybe late in the afternoon or in the early evening, I would come in and just to make sure that, right, I'm not scrambling to get the live up, that if there were any issues that I would have lots of time to figure it out. And somehow, I felt okay. I thought this time I got it. And sure enough, I did. came in at my regular time, even though it's not my regular day. But let's just say this is a little bit of making up for those wrenches that so often, like I did it, right? That's me seeing a red button and going, whoo, what's this? Hitting it, and then things go screwy on me. And you know what? And like I said, in that process, I learned a few lessons in it. I was able to clean up a couple of my content, actually able to go in and spend a little bit of time in my laptop settings to actually see what I could do. I pulled out an old 4K. It's not an old, it's only a couple of years old, but I hadn't used it yet. I just threw it in my electronics box. And, I set it up on the tripod and everything just in case things didn't work out for me, that I could just switch cameras and just use this little Explore camera that I got for my outdoor explores. So grateful that I didn't need to do that tonight. Kind of proud of myself that I didn't give up, that I trusted that I would figure it out. Nobody helped me in that. And of course, I'm pushing buttons, but in pushing buttons, I'm going into the settings, I'm looking at the cameras, I'm looking at the sound, and I was actually even able to set the sound up higher on my laptop. And so I don't know if I'll go in and watch more of my content on my laptop. I actually use my laptop for usually just editing videos and doing my live show. It served me well. And this was something that was, what was it that I was looking to buy or looking to accomplish when out of the blue I says, no, I don't think so. I think I need my laptop. And oh my goodness, did I need my laptop? It was such a great decision. I think it was doing some dental work, and I put off doing the dental work, and I bought the laptop. And I was a little bit nervous because I've got a chipped tooth that needs to be fixed and everything. But I'm very grateful to live in the country that I do. And if you've never popped into one of my lives before, I'm Cindy again. And I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And I work in emotions, but also at the same time, being the explorer in my own life, right? Being my own self parent, setting goals and moving towards them, and just seeing they don't always work out. But oh my goodness, when I can give myself one of those, when I can work something out, it's amazing. It's the evidence for me that what I'm doing is exactly what I should be doing. And then tonight, being able to figure this out, right? It's pretty amazing. I feel really good about that. Tonight, I said I was just going to come into my live and we were just going to pick a card. If you don't know, I have a deck here. It's 54 powerful words. They're just powerful words. And usually, what I do is I'll pick a card and we just kind of delve into it for a couple of minutes. It's usually not a couple of minutes. I always say it's going to be a couple of minutes. It always goes a little bit longer than that. But it's it's going to take how much time it's going to take in order for me to present like a hors d'oeuvre platter for something for maybe you to pick out of. And sometimes I come in here, right? I don't even get anything. But sometimes I come in here and oh my goodness, like I rock my own world. And that's right. And I'm not saying that in a narcissistic way because I'm far from that. I do have a sense of control about me, but I believe that, this is something highly sensitive and empaths should be able to do for themselves is to have that sense of control. And that's scary because as highly sensitives and as empaths, right, we usually don't put down the rules. We don't usually enforce the rules, right? We allow our boundaries to be, right, crossed consistently. But again, it's taken a while. If you don't know, I have been on YouTube for over 10. I can say I've been on YouTube for over 10 years now. And in those 10 years, like trying to sort out these past couple of days with my laptop, because I'm not technically inclined, right? I'm a communicator. I'm not technically inclined. But you know what? I know how to Google. I know how to explore. And you know what? I'm not afraid to experiment. There we go. And experience, right? I'm not afraid to experience. I'm not afraid of change. I'm not afraid of the wrenches. And you know what? Like I said, it's pretty exciting when I can give myself one of those. And you know what? I did a couple of those just in my live today, right? I'm so happy we are back up and running. And I'm happy that I didn't give up in them, right? That I didn't let a frustration surface that made it so that my brain doesn't usually scramble in the frustrations and in the hurry scurry or the hairy scary. It's because I understand that's where I thrive, and I also understand that if I'm not calm, if I am not the leader for myself, at the very least in that situation, that possibly, right, I might go astray. I might make a bad situation worse. I'm a big believer in baby steps. There is no hurry. Give me 1 second here. I just want to turn this light off. I'm not a big fan of the white light, but I understand that you know lighting is important in the live. If you pop in tonight, say hi in the comments. I expect Eugene. Oh no, because I don't usually come in on Saturday, so he's not expecting. And Melvin, I haven't seen Melvin in ages. I hope he's doing good. Sending some good cheer out to Melvin. He's pretty regular in this podcast and showing up and supporting me and keeping me company in that. But I have not heard from him in a couple of weeks, not even in my other shows on Sunday. And that was another reason why I was determined to make sure that I come live tonight after playing with my laptop and my computer and my phone. And right, I had to test that it was going to be okay for my live show tomorrow night. In the, I would have to say, 7 or 8 years that I've been doing live shows, it took me a year or two to come in front of the camera. But, in all that time, I have never not shown up on a Sunday night, except when I've gone on my September trip. We're getting pretty close. I think we put another $100 in my bucket for my trip in September. It was really neat. Me and my sister were thrifters. It's how I'm putting the roof over my head in the moment, trying my darndest not to go out and right hit the pavement and go back to work. And it's not that I'm afraid, and it's not like I'm lazy. I am a very hard worker, but the thing is, right, to be able to find a job that I enjoy so much, right? That last job that I had, it would be pretty hard to beat. And I could probably go in the same field, but I don't know if I would be considered for those positions because it might be considered a conflict of interest, right? Because I was with the last company that I worked for 5 years. 5 years I was with the little thrift store that put the roof over my head. And you know what? It was pretty amazing because you know what? I have never missed a day of work in my entire life. It's pretty much my only claim to fame when it comes to employment. And again, it is probably a trait of being uh, a highly sensitive as an empath, that we don't want to disappoint people, that again we don't want that blowback, that feedback when you have to call in and say I'm not coming in today, right? And everybody's relying on you to show up. That sometimes again that you don't want to get in trouble, right? And for me, I was very sensitive that way. For most part of my life, it was in that aggressive feedback sometimes that made me very uncomfortable. But in that squeeze, I always showed up because not showing up was more uh, difficult. It was more scary, right? Uh, in this job that I've just left, I like I said, I was there for 5 years, but I was in the lessons, right? And I was not just in the lessons, I was pulling and allowing myself to absorb the lessons. And in absorbing the lessons, I still did not call in sick. I still showed up every single day, but it was for a different reason. It was for that pride. It was for the fact that that was my claim to fame when it came to being uh, an employee, right? I have never, well, I can't say I've never been my own boss. There were a couple of situations like right now, right? Being a reseller, but I'm not in it deep, right? The lessons are the priority, but also at the same time, right? I still have to put groceries in the cupboard. I still have to keep that pot growing, right? That pot of money growing because I do take this trip every September. Today I thought, oh my goodness, maybe I won't be able to take it this year, if we can't just accumulate a little bit more. And these trips usually cost a lot of money, but I usually rent, these big luxury cars that usually cost me, a couple $1,000s. And that's just one part of the trip, right? Because the camping sites, oh my goodness, how much did I pay in camping sites last year? I think I paid almost $500, $500 or $600 in campsites last year. This year it's going to be just over 400, only because I'm just staying a day over a week on this trip, and I've only booked 4 campsites. Well, I haven't booked them yet, right? But I will be doing that right away just to make sure that I do get my spots. But I also have to take into consideration because I'm going to Northern Ontario, um, that, right, there are fires going on. Even though we are in an alert right now, today it was so smoky. It was so, what do you call that? Smoky outside. It was like fog, literally like fog. You could only see a couple of blocks away. And not only that, there were so many people wearing their face masks from 2020, right? I got rid of most of mine. I got rid of most of mine. I kept all the new ones. I kept a few of the good ones, right? But other than that, they all hit the bucket. And the thing is, there's another variant going on right now. Today, I was at the drugstore and I should have gotten a booster. Um, you know, uh, I've been pretty good. I have not I have not had COVID yet. I have taken into consideration my customers, and I played it pretty safe. And being singular in my life, and when I'm saying singular, I don't mean single, even though I am single. Um, uh, it was my isolation. I hate to say that word, right? I am a very social person on the norm. But in the lessons, I understand there are lessons, and I have to step my feet into those shoes and be the evidence in those lessons. I just can't take the lessons and not do anything, put my fingers in, play with that material, because I have to see some evidence to see if it will work for myself, right? And so I have been very curious to the fact that I haven't gotten COVID, and I'm grateful. I'm very, very, very grateful. And again, it's a little bit of that for me and being consistent and getting my boosters. In the other way of looking at it, I can say, "Oh my goodness, Cindy, you've given up on everybody." And I'm not saying everybody, but because I am online, I have my phone, I have Messenger, I have messages and texts, and I'm keeping in contact with everybody. But that physicality of the people that I used to hang out with, it's minimal, right? My sister Alice, because we are partners in crime and reselling. Oh boy, did we got a really good one. Oh, my sister got some really good ones, but me and her, when we go out, we got some really good ones. We got these four rock guards, and they're like metal covers that you put over your headlights on your car, but they were for vintage cars from like the 80s and stuff, and they were brand new in the box. We paid $5 a piece, and we got four boxes. This was only a couple of weeks ago that we picked them up. And so for $20, my sister says, "Oh, take a look at, I just listed the the stone guard." So I went in, and she was asking $125 each for them, and we had four of them. Today, we sold the second one. Like, incredible to get such great scores and then to be able to pass them along. Mind you, we went out yesterday and we didn't get anything. I got a new summer blouse, right? Because I it's so hot this year. I need to wear sleeveless. I can't wear anything with sleeves, not even the short sleeves. It's just been so hot. Hello, Eugene. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing good tonight too. I was just saying when I came in live, I says Eugene shows up every single day, but I bet you he knows that I don't show up on Saturdays, and you probably won't show up tonight. And again, Melvin, I was saying Melvin, I haven't seen Melvin in a couple of weeks too, so I'm sending some good cheer out to Melvin, because I know if there was any way that he could pop into my lives, even if it was just a couple of times a week, he would. So I'm a little bit concerned. So concerned that I actually went into my address book to see if I had his email, because I send out Christmas cards and stuff. So I try to collect those emails off of people. and I didn't have his email, so I have no way of getting a hold of him. But, right, I'm talking about it because maybe if he's laid up or something, that maybe he could come in later and notice that I was making inquiries after him, right? And then he'll pop in just to ease my mind. That's my hope in that, right? I've gotten very attached. So when I talk about isolating myself and separating myself from most people I used to hang out with, my brand has evolved in a way that, I've picked up people along the way, people who have been with me since the very beginning of me doing my live shows, and some of them have never missed the live themselves. And it warms my heart. It just does something for me because in that recognition that people give me their valuable time, right? And I so appreciate it because you know what? Everybody is vying for your attention. Everybody is. And it just amazes me that every Sunday this crew shows up. And if you guys want to pop in tomorrow night and hang out with us, right? It's just not me yapping or trying to present a lesson or to uh, rehash what the lessons or the day or the adventures or the experiences that I had come across my path. That you could come in and join us Sunday, and right, maybe you would really enjoy it because I really enjoyed interacting with my friends, right? I'm so grateful. So even though these people that used to be in my life physically are not in my life, we don't necessarily in this digital age, in this age of AI learning, we don't necessarily have to be so physically social, or do we? Right? Because soon as I said that, I says, "Oh yeah, that's a big problem that we're not being physically social, that we're becoming introverts, that we're becoming a little bit disconnected from our ability to be extroverts, our ability to connect with others, right?" And it's a safe place, isn't it? When we're alone, we're not answering to anybody. We're not taking the guff. We're not beating ourselves up because, right, somebody doesn't believe or doesn't understand how I'm living my life, right? And so we all have that right in our sense of control, which we should have, and if we don't have, we should be practicing in that, right? We should be practicing in that because it's not healthy for us to be by ourselves. It's not healthy to be singular, right? There is somebody out there for everybody. There's numerous people out there for everybody. But it's just a matter of making that choice to move towards that, right? Because I understand it's not healthy. I purposely, right? I'll go walk around a grocery store. Like today, I went to the Shoppers Drug Mart. Well, I got some cream for my coffee. I'm having a cup of coffee. It's my second cup of coffee today. Yeah, my second cup of coffee. I'm doing really good at cutting back on the coffee. I actually Googled because I've been drinking more tea, but it seems that tea, even though it's not as acidic as coffee is, it's still pretty acidic. But because I use these big mugs, I've been using 2 tea bags. So after reading that document, I actually just went down to 1 tea bag in my cup of coffee, and that will help to keep the acidity down. Right? Okay, you guys. I'm yibber yabbering. But I'm so happy that we're back up and running, right? And I knew it, and I didn't stress out about it, and I allotted the time, whatever it took, whatever time it took. And because I'm not technically inclined, I have to practice, don't I? Because it's only in practicing that we get better. And even though I'm not technically inclined, I am a YouTube creator. And right, there's a lot of little technicalities in YouTube. So I found out in the past couple of days. Right? Okay, you guys. Eugene, thank you for popping in tonight. I'm so glad that you spotted me. I don't normally come in on Saturdays, but I want to make sure I'm up and running well for 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 tomorrow. I'm not even gonna look at my phone there. Let's pick a card. Couple of minutes. First perspective, right? That comes to my mind. And we're just gonna roll with it for a couple of minutes. Like I said, I usually say a couple of minutes, but usually a little bit more. Before we do that, I'm just gonna have a sip of my coffee. Okay, you guys, here we go. I hope everybody's having an amazing weekend, that there aren't fires going on. If you live in the northern part of the United States, central, I hope our smoke is not bothering you too much, right? We are struggling here. We're all struggling here. But I don't think there's anything we can do except to ride it out. I think tomorrow we've got rain. Oh no, not tomorrow, Monday. Rain and thunderstorms. But they said that last week and it didn't happen. So I am optimistic that Monday we are going to get rain and thunderstorms. And if you've hung out with me for any length of time, I am a fan of Mother Nature. And I love crazy weather. I'm not looking. I'm not looking to see anybody get hurt. I'm not looking for tornadoes to take out a city, or right. I'm not looking for that. But that crazy weather. It's pretty exciting. My cat doesn't like the thunderstorms, but I do, right? I do. Okay, you guys. I'm proud of myself. Let's pick this card. And if you don't know, I have this deck, 54 powerful words. They're just powerful words. And then, right, we just work the word. And again, it's in that practice for me, because these cards will be with me right to the very end. And by the very end, maybe I'll have it down packed. Maybe I'll have the lesson down packed. And you know what? These could change, right? The messaging in them, and they will. And some of them, when they're the perspectives, sometimes they change just because I had an experience that day. So I don't need to present the lesson the same way that I presented it last time, right? But also at the same time, because I'm in thought leadership and because I take in content from other thought leaders, people who have amazing perspectives, but possibly might have a perspective I've never even considered. I have to be willing, right, to change my perspective. I have to be willing in that. If it hits me as a truth, right? As if it hits me as a truth. Okay, you guys, let's just get into the card. We are going to take this card right here. You will not believe, you will not believe the card we got tonight. Oh, I just love that it's mirrored the proper way. We got that word, willingness. What a coincidence, eh? Oh, thank you, Eugene. It's actually a winged moo. Okay, I'm just going to stand up. It's a winged moo. Isn't that cute? Yeah, I got that at my work. My mother used to wear moo all the time. They were the most perfect house dress. And if you had to take a run to the grocery store or something, you could even sleep in it if you want to. Like I said, it's too hot. I've got my air conditioner. Well, my cat's hogging it right now, but it's blowing and it's so nice. It's so nice, you guys, that I have to wear my winter socks to bed because it's blowing over me, this cold air. Oh, but it's so magnificent. And I've been having such great sleepies. Oh, and let me say, for those of you who've been with me for any length of time again, you guys know that I'm not a dreamer. I have not been a dreamer in 10 years. Uh, and like when I say not a dream, I'm not a dreamer. Like, I'm not a dreamer. Now, I have had experiences, but not those dreams. And I have to say, you guys, this week, I woke up a few times this week in the what is it? The remnants of a dream image in my mind. And in actuality, I've only got one remembrance of a small clip of an image in my mind, but it dissipates almost immediately. It makes me wonder if I've always been a dreamer. I know the the doctors and the scientists, they say we all dream, and they can tell that by the way our eyes move under our eyelids when we're sleeping. But again, being that singular, I got nobody staring at me while I'm sleeping to see if my eyes are going 100 miles an hour. I just considered that, I haven't dreamed in a decade, and I only mentioned it because it's very telling. It's very not the norm for me that I'm dreaming. I'm dreaming again. I don't know how long it will last for. I don't know if it's in the relaxation because, especially the past week, I have really unwound, and I'm finding I'm getting so much more done than like before a week ago. So I'm hoping that trend is going to continue. Today, my sister and my niece and my great niece, they're going to Disneyland, and I made some coveralls for her. But it's summer. They're going to California. It's going to be hot, hot, hot. Unless it's a cooler day, she might not even get an opportunity to wear the coveralls that I patch. I covered in patches, Disney World patches and Mickey Mouses and Goofies and stuff. So adorable. But then me and my sister, when we were out thrifting yesterday, we oh my goodness, I trailed off and get past the willingness. I'll just bring it back to the main branch after I say this. But I started a pair of short ones for summer, and I'm doing it because she's never seen the ocean. My niece has never seen the ocean. My sister has not seen the ocean in probably 40 years. I have to say that, right? Oh no, I can't say that because she goes to Cuba all the time. So she does get to see the ocean. But my niece and my great niece have not seen the ocean, and they're going to have a fantastic time. So I thought I would make a SeaWorld. I got a shark, and I got goldfishes still to sew on them. So I've just been sewing patches onto these. I'm going to do the front and the back. The back, I'm just going to put different kinds of cupcakes because I got a whole bunch of cupcake patches. So I'm just going to sew cupcake patches all over. I have a sewing machine. I just don't know how to use the sewing machine. Like I said, I'm not technically inclined, but if I could get myself up and running like I did after these past couple of days, my goodness, right? Maybe I should give that sewing machine another shot. As it is, I think I'm doing a pretty good job at matching the thread colors and stuff that you really can't see the stitching that I'm doing. But it has to be really well stitched because right, they're going in the washer and you don't want these to fall apart. And my niece is pregnant again, so she's having another girl. So I'm hoping that right, these will be hand me downs for the new baby somewheres down the road. Okay, you guys, let's get into this word willingness before I call it an evening. Willingness. Now, when I write insights onto these cards, they're not quotes of anybody else unless, I'm writing the quote. Sometimes it's just a thought. But here, and I made a concerted effort not to use the word in the thought that I put on the card, right? So here, willingness. Willingness often requires willingness. That's what I wrote here. But you know what? That's so true because in our hypervigilance, in that sense of control, we do have to make allowances. Like I said, remember what I said about, you have to be willing to be schooled in something that you possibly might not have gotten so right, or maybe you did get it right, but there's a different perspective that is more pertinent. It's more the truth, it's more the evidence. And so again, we have to be willing, right, to allow different ideas to come from us, right? Lots of us, we grow into our adulthoods and our thoughts are not even our thoughts because they were our upbringing, right? They're the things that we were taught when we were kids, right? Because I said so, right? And, these ideas aren't always true, right? My mother used to say all the time, I go, why? She goes, because I said so, but without any explanation, right? It's very important to be able to pull ideas and to be able to let go of old ideas that might not be as relevant today as they were yesterday. And that's the truth. And that's what I was saying when I came in. You just have to be able, right? The content that I'm in right now, it's pretty heavy. And because a lot of the content is not visual, I am not in my hypervigilant way looking for hand movements and eye eye movements and stuttering and right. This is how I resonate with truth. This is right when I can see that somebody is being genuine and okay, you guys, willingness. Willingness often requires willingness, right? Willingness has to be something that it's in our boundaries, not to cross those boundaries, not to force your ideas, right? But when I'm searching out the idea, when I'm asking the question, I have to be prepared, right? For a different perspective, something that possibly might resonate with me a little bit better, that might course correct me in something that I've been presenting here or living in my own life that might have been a little bit off, might have been a lot off. That's happened to me so many times. Again, like I said yesterday, right? It's why I don't go back to the very beginning of my podcast because I have changed so much. And it doesn't mean that lesson isn't pertinent or there isn't any lessons within those conversations that I'm bringing to the table, right? But I bet you there is a lot that I didn't recognize as untruths because I was groomed in that. Is that a, I don't like that either, right? It's what I learned growing up through those traditions and understandings, right? And of my parents and how it just, right? It's how they grew up and right? They brought their children up that way. There were lots of different lessons. My dad was very different from his father, my grandfather, 100%. But it was in his willingness to learn. It was in his willingness to actually be able to come up with a better plan, a better idea, and to be able to have enough control over his understandings that, he would say, oh, that's enough, right? That's not true. I'm standing on my own 2 feet now, right? And be able to recognize the truth when you see it, right? Understanding that the way you see it today might not be the way you see it tomorrow. But if you're willing to be course corrected, right? We call those riches being thrown into the engine. Willingness. It's a great word. I was kind of curious out of those 54 words. I just mentioned it like 30 seconds before pulling this card. It's really, right? I just love it when the things work out like that for me. But be willing to be pulled in to what you don't know. Just like me in coming in and just pushing buttons, a little bit of experimenting, right? And a lot of determination in not giving up. And then in that process, be able to recognize, right, that I did learn a little something because I was willing to try. Okay, you guys. Eugene, thank you so much for popping into my live tonight. For those of you pop in tomorrow. It's Sunday, so you probably won't be going to work tomorrow if you're a 9 to 5 person. But I'm sending you some good cheer. Everybody, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow night on Chatters Live. And if you're not in Chatters Live, which you are more than welcome, great crew. They yap more than I do. If I don't see you tomorrow night, we'll see you Monday.